What's good, guys? This is Vahography. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. Right now, I'm in Monrovia, California, and above me, directly above me in the hills, there's brush fire, there's fires everywhere. The whole state is a mess. Virtually the whole state is on fire. And it made me think about my photojournalism days back in the days when I used to dabble in it. And it got me thinking on the state of photojournalism today. You know, I read a bunch of stories back in the day where companies laid off their photographers, their real professional photographers, gave all the journalists, the writers, iPhones. Today in this video, I'm going to talk to you about journalism, photojournalism to be exact, and the state of it in 2020. So like I said, I used to dabble in photojournalism back in the day. I used to take assignments for companies. I used to go out. It was exciting. The most important thing you can do as photographers, as professional photographers, covering a story, unbiased reporting. As a professional photographer, you want to always be unbiased. You want to cover the story. Your job is to tell a story. Your job is to tell the real story, not your side of the story, the real story, the story that you witnessed. And like I said, a few years ago, I don't remember the newspaper, but they laid off professional photographers from their fleet. They gave iPhones to a bunch of writers, and they said, you know, we don't need professional photographers. The iPhone is good enough. Well, let me tell you something. No, it's not. It's not good enough. They gave the iPhones to whoever's covering the story. The quality images, like I said, have gone down, and it's time for us to start putting real professional photographers on assignments to capture amazing images once again, like back in the day. His job is not to write the article, not to edit the article. His job is to capture the photography for the news story. But it's time for society or these companies that handle the news to put professional photographers back to work, capturing the story with professional images. Just look at the history books, look back in the day at journalism. Much different than today. I could be here for hours talking about journalism and how biased stories are nowadays, but I'm gonna stick to what I know, and what I know is photography, and I'm gonna talk to you about photojournalism, real photojournalism. Yeah, so time to get professional photographers back to work in real photojournalism, guys. None of this iPhone BS, none of this writers doing the photographer's job. We can get true, real photojournalists back to where they really belong, in front of the story. Real photographer, real photographer's eyes. Not a writer's eyes, not an editor's eyes, a real photographer just there to do his job. You know, it's simple as this. You put a professional instrument in front of somebody that doesn't know how to play, or you put a professional musician in front of his instrument, and you see what kind of results you'll get, versus somebody that really doesn't know what they're doing, you're gonna see the results. Same thing in photojournalism, guys. You're not a real photographer. You're a writer, you're a reporter. So it's time to get photographers back in action, real photographers. You can be a writer, you can be an editor, you could be a reporter, and you can learn photography too. I'm not saying you can't do both. But chances are you're going to get better results with a full-time professional photographer covering the story than you are a reporter with an iPhone. So you're walking in the door, you're going to work, you're about to capture the story. Leave your bias jacket at the door, at the courtroom. For example, you might like a certain team you're covering. Let's say you're into football and you're a big Rams fan, and the Rams are playing, let's say, the Vikings. You know, you got to go in there very unbiased. You're a big fan of the Rams, but you don't want to cover the Rams more than the Vikings, see? Like I said, cover the story on both sides, tell both sides of the story, never tell one side of the story with your images. Let me tell you a little story back in the day when I used to do photojournalism, and this story, this day, always stuck in my mind. So I was hired by a campaign. The guy was running for city council, and they wanted me to take pictures of a day in his life, you know, take some portraits of him for the newspaper or whatnot. I take my gear out of the car, I put it in the garage, and I see that he's into like old radios. So it turns out he's into old radios. He fixes radios. He's a collector. He's a collector of old televisions, and he listens to rock and roll, Elvis, the 50s. I'm like, dude, this is really cool. You know, we can incorporate some of this in the photo shoot, you know, to tell your story, to tell your real story. My advisors told me that we're gonna do like a clean look. So he walks me in his office, and a very boring, basic desk with a, typewriter, and so he was the total opposite of what I was capturing on camera. So I suggested, why don't we do this? We could do a plain professional photo shoot, business type that you want, portrayed in the photos, but then we can also go to the garage and we can take some real pictures of you, real pictures of really who you are, the music, the 50s, the old radios and all that stuff that's interesting for real people to see. And it's more interesting to see who you are, your real story, where you come from, what you're into. Guess what? I took the pictures. They ended up using a few of those shots for the article. Called me back. He's like, thank you very much. You know, I appreciate those pictures. And you're right. Telling the real story of who you are is more important than anything else. You want to capture the true story. Also, guys, never add elements to your photograph, especially in photojournalism. That makes your image a forgery. Never add fake elements, fake backgrounds, rain, fake backdrop, people. Never add elements that were not originally there. I want to tell the true story of the event without anything added to it that's fake, that wasn't there originally. That's a big no-no in my book. I never do that. I don't care how exciting the picture is going to look. If I add the clouds, if I add this person in the picture. What makes a photograph special is that it's a true photograph, unedited, no elements added. I mean, I'm okay with adjusting basic darkroom techniques like exposure, white balance, things like that you can adjust. They add elements to the image, a fake story, a fake backdrop. I mean, to me, that's probably worse than fake news. It's a fake image. And here's another point I want to make about photojournalism. You see in the news today about the riots, the protests everywhere, and you see a bunch of cameramen right in the middle of the action. You don't want to be part of the story. You want to record the story. You want to be there to capture the images for the reader. You don't want to be part of it. Never become part of the story when you're a photographer, when you're a photojournalist. Back away from the action. What I would do is I know wide shots are cool. You want to be right there shooting in front of the cops with the protests, with the signs, you know, but you're in the shot. Don't jump in. Like I said, wide angle shots are cool. You're in the middle. You're running around and falling all over the place. You're in the way of the police, the protesters, the signs, the fires. It makes for really cool photography. And another thing that's very important in photojournalism, especially when you're covering action like that, be careful, guys. You know, you can get hurt or sometimes even killed out there. Scout the area before you start, before you set up your cameras and gears. Scout the area, make sure you have outs just in case the story comes to you and you need to move. Make sure you have escape routes everywhere you go. You have a bunch of gear. Sometimes you're there with tripod, camera, bodies, a bag. Make sure you can get up and go at a second's notice. I have a friend that covered the war in Iraq. He was a photojournalist. They hired him. He flew to Iraq covering the war there. What amazing guts this guy had, man. He was amazing. He showed me the pictures. That was crazy. That's a whole different animal right there. Sometimes it gets very dangerous out there, guys, covering the story. So be careful at all times. Always have escape routes. So we've probably all heard about changing a narrative when you're reporting a story, right? You can also change a narrative while taking a picture through your photographs. You don't need words in an article to change a narrative. You can also do it with your lens. For me, it's all about unbiased reporting, unbiased photographs. Tell the story as it happens, a true story. That's what makes the photograph genuine. You never want to change a narrative with the pictures that you take. A lot of times you might get a promotion through the company if you change the narrative to the story the company wants you to promote. Have some pride, have some dignity as a photographer, as a photojournalist, and never change a story to your liking, to your boss's liking, or to your editor's liking. All right, guys, so is photojournalism dead in 2020? Has the quality gone down from what it was back in the day? Let me know in the comments below what you think of photojournalism in 2020. And also, if there's real photojournalist photographers watching this video right now, in 2020, is it better or was it better back in the day? Let me know in the comments below if you've been a photojournalist for 10, 20 years. And let me know the state of what you think photojournalism is right now. Like I said, the media companies, they hold all the cards. They can hire true professionals to only do photography. Not write the story, just capture what they see. Hopefully photojournalism will get better and better like it was back in the days. We can't let it die, guys. It's very important for our kids, for our grandkids, to read the events, to know the history with good photographs. So anyway, that's what was on my mind this morning when I woke up to all this smoke. I remembered my days doing photojournalism, and you know what? I'm still might get into it. You know what? You never know. You never know. But that's my take on photojournalism in 2020. You be the judge if it's better or worse. Leave a comment down below. If you like this video, if you want more videos like this, all things photography, photography gear, photography lenses, photography stories, please like and subscribe to my channel, Vahography. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload new videos. Okay, guys? This is Vahography. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer, and we'll see you on the next video, guys. Rock and roll.